Welcome back to episode 54 of my Stationeers Mars playthrough. So last episode we did a whole load of things around ventilation and airflow. We added some turbine generators in the melt room, set up a second, you can just about see it, wind turbine and the basis of a third, or at least produced the kit, and tried to sort out some of the cooling in here. So one of the things that we got to at the end of the last episode obviously was the burnt out cable up here, and we do need to redesign the power networks, which was going to be my first priority for this episode. However, in my research around the furnace, advanced furnace temperature automation, pressure automation rather, where I've been trying to build an adaptive chip, it's given me a few interesting ideas, and I think we could potentially apply it to the gas fueled generator. So I'm going to try that. I have no idea how this is going to work. I know roughly what I want my code to do. I have no idea whether it's going to actually achieve what I want, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to print up an IC chip and we're going to put that in. I am also going to put an adaptive controller onto the advanced furnace to control the pressure, and I am going to also sort out this power network problem, but I have an idea for a second potential, at the risk of overusing them, second potential new use for an adaptive controller to actually control the flow of energy from some of the generators back to the main grid, but it's going to require some reasonably substantial grid reconfiguration, and we're going to need to use some heavy transformers in order to do that, so large transformers, so we will need some of those, and I'm also going to build some bigger batteries. Anyway, let's get to work first of all, because if I can get this gas fuel generator working a bit more reliably, that solves a whole host of problems. Right, so let's flush that. Okay, let's put a bit of a header in, as I always tend to. It just makes it a bit easier later on to remember quite what this code was when I wrote it, and therefore whether it's likely to work with the current version of the game. So that's me, and I wrote it, and I wrote it then. Right, okay, so this is going to be an adaptive GFG code. So we're going to need to connect the GFG itself. We're also going to want to connect the regulator, the fuel reg. Whoops. That might be all we need. I'm going to have to think this one through carefully. Okay, so we're going to need to do this in a loop, but I'm going to work through this quite systematically and try and work out what we need to do. So the first thing we need to know is whether or not the generator is on. Now, how are we going to know that? Whether I guess it's activate? Maybe. I think we'll start by just pulling up the gas fuel generator. Let's see what we can read. It might be combustion, maybe the one I need to read actually. Yeah, it looks like combustion. Okay. So let's read combustion. And if it's not actually lit, I'm just going to loop through this initialization. So I'm going to call this init loop, because if it's not lit, then I want to, well, if it is lit, I'm going to jump out of this loop. Otherwise, it's just going to sit here and wait, because I want to come in when it's lit. So if B NE Z, whoops, I've got to actually load that to a register, that was stupid. So if R0 is not Z, then I'm going to jump to lit init lit, and the reason I'm going to have lit in it is I'm going to do a couple of different things once it's lit. So we're going to have a lit loop, and the loop, so as you would expect, is going to load that to check it's still lit. I'm also going to load, right, actually once it lights, the first thing I want to know is what was the setting on that reg. So we're going to load that. I'm going to stick that in R10 for now, just keep it well clear of the ones I'm using on the generator. And I just want to know the setting. So into here, let's see whether or not we can figure out the right setting to see how much power is being generated. Looks like power generation returns how much power is being generated. Perfect. Yeah, okay. We could just use power generation. That might actually be easier. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to use power generation instead of combustion. Power generation. The advantage of that is I don't need to use 2 registers because I've just got it in there. Right, so when it first lights, we're going to read the fuel reg setting because we need to know how much fuel was in it when it started running. And then whilst it's running, we are going to have a little loop here. It's going to go yield and jump to lit loop. But we're also going to keep track. So the first thing I want to do here is I'm going to set a register, we'll call it R1, and we'll set that to 1. Actually, no, we'll set it to 0 because we're going to add 1 inside this loop. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go add R1, R1, 1. So we're going to increment R1 every tick that it's running. And we're also going to keep a running track of how much power it generated. So we're going to add R2, R2, R0, so we're going to add that. And then we're going to say if, in fact, are we going to say it there? No, we're going to say it here. We're going to jump out. So if the power generation has dropped to 0, we're going to jump to unlit in it. Because a full cycle on the generator is a number of ticks when it's burning and a number of ticks while it's not burning because it's cooling. And we need to actually average the power generation over that full cycle, because otherwise we're only measuring how much we're generating while it's turned on. Fantastic, but actually if it takes a really, really long time to cool down, that's not going to help. So I'm going to create another little loop here, so unlit in it. It's actually remarkably difficult to type. And we're going to have unlit loop. So the unlit in it, I'm not sure whether it necessarily needs to do anything different at this stage, but we want to, in the unlit loop, we obviously need to load and check it's still not lit. So if it is lit, we're going to jump back out. And we're going to jump to a recalc, which is where we're going to recalculate the settings on the input pressure regulator. So we'll stick that down there for now, just so that we can get rid of the red on that label. Assuming it's still not lit though, we're going to add R1, R1, 1, because we still want to increment the timer, but there's nothing to add to the power generation. Then I'm going to yield, and then I'm going to jump back to unlit loop. Right, so this should then, once it's lit, it should run through this lit loop, counting up the amount of power and the number of ticks until it goes out, stops generating power, at which point it should then continue counting until it starts generating power again. So at this point, R1, once it jumps into this recalc loop, knows the full length of the cycle and the total power generated. So if I then div, and we'll put that into R3, R2, R1, that's the average power that it generated during that loop. And I think that's probably what we want to optimize for, is the average over the cycle. I guess we could optimize for the total. It sort of doesn't matter, but well, no, it does matter. We do need to go for the average because we want to disincentivize a generation profile where it ramps the power right up to the top, outputs an enormous amount of power for 1 or 2 ticks, and then overheats and takes absolutely ages to cool back down. That's not as efficient as something that generates a lower level of power continuously, or it probably isn't. Okay, so we know what the valve, at this point we know what the valve setting was, and we also know what the output looked like, but what we don't know is, has it gone up or down from last time? So before we end this loop, we are going to need to move into another register the setting this time, and that means as part of the initialization we need to load into R11 the fuel reg setting, if only to make sure it doesn't arrive at a ridiculous number in the first calculation. Okay, so if I then sub this setting from the last one, we'll know it's gone up or it's gone down. So if I subtract the last one from this one, get it the right way around. So R12 is now how much we've turned the valve up by. We also need to know how much power we generated last time. So I'm going to go move. I'm going to have R4 and I'm going to have R3. That was the average for the last cycle. Obviously this becomes more difficult, and we're just going to have to move R4 to 0 here because we just can't know the answer. So one of the things that we'll need to do before we even do the recalculation is, in here we will have to say if R4 is 0, then jump to the recalc end. So the first time it runs, we're just recording statistics. After the second full cycle, we can start to do something useful. And then that can jump back to, actually we could jump that back to init loop. We'll miss a cycle by doing that because we know it's lit. No, actually no, let's go back to lit init. That's fine. Right, so that's going to keep the history of the power generated last time and the setting last time, and it's going to compare it to this time, or it's going to give us the ability to compare it to this time. So what we need to do here is we need to know where the setting was. So I'm going to calculate, and the reason I'm jumping out before I do this is I'm going to calculate into R5, I'm going to calculate the ratio, so R3 divided by R4, so that we know the power went up or down by a particular amount. I actually wonder whether we might calculate that as a ratio as well. I think we will. Let's do it. Let's make that div. So we're going to have the same. I'm going to move that over here. And I'm going to also need something in here that says if R11, I don't want any errors. So if it ever sets the valve to 0, it's just going to stop. Or if the valve is set to 0, it's going to stop. It's probably not ideal. There's a risk here that we could end up with some sort of a loop where it gets to 0 and stays there, but let's worry about that if we get to it. Right, so we know the ratio of the power generated this time to last time. We know the ratio of the fuel. Now the problem is, it may be the right thing to do to turn it up, or it may be the right thing to do to turn it down. And what we don't know is which direction we need to turn it in. So I actually think we need to capture a second set of history values to know did we turn it up or down last time, and which way did it move when we did. Because if we turned it up last time and the power went up, we want to turn it up again this time. But if we turned it down last time and the power went up, we want to turn it down again this time. So I think this becomes a simple calculation where we just move our... okay, I'm going to just slightly modify. No, we'll stick it in R13, that's fine. Can we do a sine? That's a good question. Can we do a sine calculation in here? As you can tell, I'm trying to figure this out on the fly, but I thought it might be interesting just to see, not that sort of sine, I mean sine as in -1 or +1. I don't think we can, but that's okay. We can figure that out. Right, I'm trying to do the coding as we go, just because I thought it might be interesting to see how I do it. Right, so I'm going to take. Now we want to know, is it gone up or down? So I'm going to take R11 away from R10. So that's the movement. So R13, and then I'm going to put the absolute value of. Am I using R14? No, I'm not. R14, R13, and then I'm going to div R13, R13, R14. So that will give me an up, or did we turn it up or down? So R13 is now an indicator as to whether we turned it up or down. But we've done that calculation before we've overwritten the previous values. So we should be able to pick up R13 here, and that should tell us the direction of travel, and we're going to multiply whatever we arrive at here. So I think I've got the two ratios. I know how much it moved by and how much the power output moved by. So I think I'm going to let's think this through. What's the best solution? So the power output was, say, 80%, and the valve setting was 80%. We know we want to increase it. If it was 120% output and it was 120%, we want to also keep increasing it.
Hunger critical.
Whereas if they're in opposite directions, we want to decrease it. So actually it might be as simple as working out the difference in the two. See if they're in the same or different direction. So I'm going to try it. I have no idea whether this calculation is going to actually yield a meaningful number, but I'm going to try dividing one by the other. And then I'm going to say GTZ. Can we do it with a select? No. It's GTZ R7, R6 SLEZ. Alright, I'm slightly using more registers than I need to here, just so that I'm clear what I'm doing. Right, mole R8, R8 minus 1. And then add, they can't both be true, so we're going to put R7, R7, R8. So that should yield a 1, a 0, or a minus 1. Obviously with 0, we're not going to do anything anyway. Minus 1 should mean they're going in different directions, and 1 means they're going in the same direction. I think that's actually the key thing we're going to need. We might not need that extra logic about the way we moved it last time. Okay, so then I'm going to take the change in power, which should be in effectively percentage terms, and I'm going to multiply what am I going to multiply? I'm going to multiply the change in power, which is R3. No, it's R5. R5. And multiply R5 by R7. And then I'm going to take the result of that, and I'm going to apply that as an additive to the valve. Let's try that and see what happens. Let's try it. I'm going to reuse R8, R5. Starting to lose track of which register I put what in. R10, there we go. Right, and then I'm going to... Right, actually I'm going to write it out to the setting. And I'm going to also write it out D1 setting. R8. Well, I have no idea how this is going to turn out. Let's give it a go. Probably what's going to happen is it's going to crash on its first outing, but there we go. Let's give it a try inside the mind of a crazy bit of programming. Right, I'm going to probably have to connect that up inside, which is a bit annoying. Have I actually got any cable? Yes, I have. As good a place as any for it. That's probably about the only place it's going to fit, honestly. Let's be straightforward about this. Right, so I'm going to tuck it in there. It's going to use slightly more wire to do it this way. I forgot to actually export it to the chip after all that. That's what happens when my brain gets stuck in programming mode. Right. Does that count as it? No, it doesn't. Yes, it doesn't. Right, so let's nick a bit of that. Stick that in there. Right. I'm highly sceptical that this code will even work, but you know, let's at least connect these up whilst I'm in here, and then I'll go back and actually export the code to the chip. So the generator's on. Gas fuel generator. And now I need to get which reg is which. Pressure regulator fuel in. Oh, actually labelled. That's quite nice. I'm pleased I did that properly. Pressure regulator fuel in. Okay, just for record, that's set to 18 kPa right now. Okay, now I've got some code on the chip. Let's go back and see where it's broken. Okay, well, moment of truth. Okay, well, it hasn't crashed yet. Also hasn't changed that yet. Okay. Well, that's interesting. It hasn't crashed, but it doesn't appear to be recognising this is generating power. So we might have to use combustion after all. Although that's going to be a bit of a problem. Oh no, there we are. No, that's doing something. Oh my goodness, it's actually doing something. I don't know whether what it's doing is going to work. What would be nice would be to have a display that showed how much it generated each cycle, so it could see whether it was actually doing the right thing. Well, it's certainly trying to adapt. It's constantly trying to turn it up. guess if it's taking the same number of cycles to cool, maybe that is the right thing to do.
Power low.
Well, I guess we'll see. So far I'm not seeing an amazing and stunning difference.
Danger, danger, system failure, system failure, danger, danger, system failure, system failure, danger, danger, system failure, system
Yeah,
failure.
it doesn't look like it's doing a whole lot, does it? Right, accepting that I'll need to pull the chip in order to do this, I'm going to add an extra bit of diagnostic to this. I'm not convinced my adaptation calculation is necessarily doing quite what we want yet. I'm going to connect it up, to an output memory. And I am going to output into that
System failure. System failure. Danger. Danger. System failure.
Oops,
System
D2 is what I want. I'm going to output
danger.
the
Danger.
average
Failure. System
per
failure.
cycle, and the reason I'm going to put that there,
Danger. Danger. System failure.
yeah, I know, is that if I print a memory and then I print a console with a graph, it's gold, with a graph board in it, I think I can actually track that. I need to restart one of these furnaces, don't I? It's got jammed up now.
Danger. Danger. System failure. System failure. 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 Danger. Danger. System failure.
Oops,
System
let's come out of there
failure.
as well.
Danger. Danger. System failure. System failure. Danger. Danger. System failure. System failure. Danger. Danger. System
Right.
failure.
Where's my gold? Come on.
Failure. Danger. Danger.
Oh, there goes the power.
Failure.
Okay, we really have got a problem then, haven't we? Yes, power is indeed low. Let's hope that the rocket has returned some bounty. Not a lot, but a little bit. Okay, let's chuck that in. If I can get the gas fuel generator working a little bit more reliably, then
System failure.
I may sidestep this problem, we'll see, which is why I'm thinking about it.
The power low.
Right. So I need a console, I need a graph display. And I need a sheet of glass. Typical. Oh, oh well, we're going to get an extra one now. Chuck it in there for now, gets it out of the way. Shut down what I don't need. Has that upset these again? Yes, it has. How irritating. I'll at least get one going. So interesting to see where this is settled. Wow. Yeah, okay, I think that's probably not quite working as designed at the current time. Get it going a bit slower than that. Right. Oh, where on earth am I going to manage to find space to maybe I can get it onto that wall there? Yeah, that's about the only way it's going to work, isn't it? Didn't need to print any more glass, already had some in mind. No, go out there. No, go out there. Programming disk. To there. Close enough to actually read the damn thing.
Jetpack on.
Okay, the jetpack doesn't really help much. Okay, and then that is what I'm going to just connect to there. And then upgrade the programming. I'm not sure that's quite working as... no, go down. Should turn that off for a minute and let the whole room cool down a little bit. Nowhere useful to put that. Let's just drop that for a minute then. Okay, so first of all, let's just do that. Okay, I don't think this is quite working as intended. Although it's difficult to judge. Let's get this going first, and I can diagnose what's going on.
Hydration critical.
Hopefully that's going to write out there. Right, so that was how much it generated on the first cycle. Okay, so it's generated less on that cycle. What's it done to the setting? Okay, it's turned it up and that's generated less. It's going the wrong way, isn't it? Or is it? No, okay, I'll take it back. I'll take it back. Okay, this is interesting. So the gaps are gradually getting, it's gradually getting flatter. It's actually dropping slightly now. It's over adjusted. Yeah, it's now falling. It's not quite working as designed. It's now falling quite quickly because it's still oversteering. Although in and of itself that has given us some useful information that the correct setting here is probably quite close to the 18 it was on, honestly. Although I suspect it may vary during night and day because the cooling cycle will be more efficient at night. Where am I going? What am I doing? Code here. Okay, so let's have a think about this. When it's coming in here and it is falling power output, so R12 is less than 1 and rising rising setting, so no, so R12 is more than 1, R5 is less than 1. Of course, this shouldn't be the ratios, this should be the actual differences. That's what I'm trying to calculate here, isn't it? It's never going to turn it down because of the way I've calculated it on ratios instead of absolute differences. Right, okay, so what I need to think about here is, let's go sub R13, R10, R11 and sub R6, we can reuse R6, R3, R4, and then make that 6 and that 13. And then I think that will do what I had intended, which is to identify whether they're going in the same or opposite directions. I could probably do something similar with dividing through, but that's a simpler solution. Right, let's try that. Actually, the other thing I probably want to do is I probably also want to scale that adjustment. So it dials it slowly. I don't know whether we can do fractional. I don't think you can on a setting for a pressure reg, but let's try it and find out. The reason I scaled it there is it reduced the chances of overshooting the correct answer. Is whether if it scales less, so if that's now trying to put 17.5, whether that's just going to turn into 17, at which point it's not going anywhere anyway. No, it did change. It moved, so it's doing something. seems to be jumping around a couple of different values there. That's quite a big drop. Okay, well let's see whether it can actually optimise. The nice thing about this is if this chip works, yeah, it's bouncing around a couple of different values, but it's not moving too far, and the fact it's bouncing backwards and forwards, I'm happy with that. It means it's basically either side of the optimal conditions, and if it's oversteering, it's steering itself back. So the reason that this is useful is I can now start doing stuff like mucking about with this to see whether or not I can actually get anything more efficient out of the cooling, and let the adaptation chip actually do its thing and adapt. It's coming out at 91 degrees. That's really rather warm, isn't it? I might also try pressurising this cooling buffer with a bit more pressure, because I think in the day that's an issue, certainly in the afternoon. It will heat up and it's not really cooling down. But for example, if I set that there, we can see whether over time this adapts to a different value. Right, I do need some water and I haven't got any more with me, so I'm going to have to go in. So it's definitely, I might make the steps slightly smaller, so that's 0.5, I might make that even smaller again. But it's definitely adapting around a point somewhere between 16.5 and 17.1 as the correct flow rate. So let's just make that 0.2 for example. Export that. Oh, luckily I've got some water there. Just grab what's left of that there and throw it in. Didn't break it. Right, okay. So if it makes smaller changes, well, that will take longer to adapt. It should adapt more precisely to the right answer. Because even things like me opening and closing the airlock is going to make a difference to the overall temperature in here. But I would also expect that at night time that cooling will be a lot more efficient. That's what I'd expect. Well, that's not necessarily what I'm seeing looking at that.
Power critical.
Okay, it's making really small changes now. Okay, I think that's actually working, so I'm going to go sort out things I need to sort out, and then I'm going to start work on the power networks, because I do want to get the other wind generator up and running, and I want to sort it so we don't burn this out. But there was a reason for that little segue into adaptive power controllers. Besides hopefully optimizing that, I want to use a similar sort of approach to control the settings on a transformer, because what I want is for things like the wind generators and, to be honest, that gas fuel generator to be generating power, charging a local battery, and then have that discharge at a reasonably stable rate. Right, I need steel frames, that's why I was coming around here. Oh, let's do steel frames, not iron frames, or I'll get in a right old mess of what's what. Okay, now I'm also going to need some transformers. I'm going to need at least one. battery. Large. Needs copper, but other than that we're good to go. Be interesting to see whether the power is actually improving or no. Doesn't look great, does it? You can see the distance between those peaks is narrower than it was though, so it is working. In fact, that some of those are actually running for. Okay, well there we go. That's not too bad. Right. Please, can I have some copper? Thank you. Okay, that'll be enough of these. Please stop. Have I got any sheets? No, I haven't. Right, and the other thing I need to do is get that mining rocket launched again. Because I'm going to run out of... I need heavy cable. We're going to run out of coal again otherwise. Okay, it's not a huge amount. I'll just let that run for a bit. How many sheets have we got on there? Not enough. A reasonable number because I actually need to set up a dedicated space for these turbines, plus I need steel sheets to make them. I'm going to need some normal cable as well, aren't I? Okay, that'll do for now. No more carrying space. Oh, you might as well make the last two, I suppose. I'll let that run. I'm going to grab left in there, which is not much. Should leave that open. The biggest risk at this point is
System failure.
losing power with that door shut.
System failure.
Oh, yeah, that's running again.
System failure.
Nearly done. Do myself a favour and shut that off when I'm not using it, and that. Okay. Let's get that launched. Let's launch them both now. Let's go crazy. Hopefully we've got enough power to keep that running.
Jetpack on.
Whoops. What have I done? I've turned my stabilizer off, haven't I? Yes, I have. That's better. Not quite sure how I did that. There we go. Okay, so I need enough space here to obviously get another windmill up and running, but I also want room for some other infrastructure in this area. Where's my welder gone? Must be tucked in there. No? Where has my welder gone? Am I just being blind and not seeing it? No, it's not there, is it? Oh no, it's in my hand. I've got the welder. It's the sheets I'm looking for. I'm an idiot. Right. Okay, let's get on with it. I'm ahead of myself. Shouldn't have done that in that order, should I? I've got to try and get in there and weld it from underneath. Which is never fun. There we go.
Jetpack on.
Don't fancy being inside when I finish the weld. I'm not quite sure what will happen. I can't do that one either.
Jetpack on.
Why can I hear the noise of about to break pipes? This is not good. What's the pressure in there? Ah! 21 MPa. That shouldn't be a problem at 21. That's at 21. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. And 21's high, but it's not that high. That's fine. That's too low. That's fine.
Hunger caution.
That's fine. It's not over here, so it's definitely over this way. Don't hear it down there. It's quite high pressure in the left-hand room, but it's fine on the right. It's not the fuel pipes over here, is it? Ah, I've just realised which pipe I can't see, and I wonder if it is. It's the... could be that one. Which I can see it from there. 24. It's high, but it's not. Shouldn't be dangerous. Tank's empty. That tank's fine. That tank is full, but not dangerously so. CO2 is actually quite empty.
Jetpack on.
Can't hear it now. It's a bit worrying. It's one thing if a pipe bursts, you just waste a lot of gas, but if a tank bursts, it's a bit destructive. Ah, there it is. It has burst. That's why I couldn't hear it anymore. Right, so the issue there is where it's mixing the nitrogen and the CO2. Before it then goes into the mixer here. That's now got all sorts of dirty mess in it, but we'll manage. Whoops, didn't turn that off, did I? Okay. Yes, I know there's a system failure, I get that.
System failure. Alert. Alert.
Right, pipe.
Failure.
No spare. Yeah, yes, spare.
System failure.
Ground paint,
Alert.
please.
Alert.
No?
System failure. System failure. Alert. Alert. System failure. System failure.
Hydration critical.
Alert. System failure.
We'll shut that one down. And the power's a bit low, I don't really want it going flying off. Right, so let's see if I can get this working a bit better. So first things first, we need cable coil for that. I think, I know we need to weld that, don't we? That's what I hadn't done, I got distracted and then I took out all of the, used up all of the sheets because I was distracted by trying to think about where that creaking pipe might be. Having said that, there's not a whole lot of places I can really do this. I needed 5 from memory. I'll try and do this in a manner that I don't fall through. Let's take that out. Maybe take one out of there. At least if I fall through these, it's not too far. There we go. That'll hopefully do the job. Right. Oh no, I've done them. Right. Wire cutters. Wire cutters. That's why I didn't do it. Oh, in a minute. Right, there we go. And then the screwdriver. Amazing. Right, okay, so actually I could weld those back down. Oh dear. We'll get there in a minute. Okay. So, I am actually going to slightly modify how these connect. So I'm going to put a battery and a transformer in. Why? Why? Why have you done that when the data port and the... Oh, look, that would have been perfect, but no, it's backwards. Data and power. I get that that's the front and that's the back, but please, that would have been so much easier. Right. Not even sure how I'm going to connect the two together if I need to now. Let's hope I don't need to. I am going to need the access. No, I'm going to need access to both of those. I'm going to have to actually move this back just because of that. That's kind of annoying. I have to put it there. Because I'm going to need to be able to access both of those ports. I don't know what happened there. I swung around so fast that it broke. Right. That means I now need extra cable. No, it doesn't. I'm going to move the whole contraption down here. And we're going to need a new colour for this heavy cable in a minute as well. Right, let's do it right. So I'm going to put this battery lined to here. I need space to connect the two, so now I'm going to put that lined to here. Just about fit. Kind of wanted to put that in a little power substation, but we'll see if we can fit it around that tank. Okay, and then
Hunger critical.
that straight in there, and then I'll pull those data ports out. Right, okay. Oh, that's the data, not the power. Ah, I could just dismantle those and flip them around though, that would be a good do I need the data? No, I don't think I do, actually. To do this? I'll do that then. Okay, haven't got anywhere near enough, but yeah. What am I going to need to get that off there, I wonder? Angle grinder? Maybe? Amazing. Actually was. Oh, wrench. Right, okay. Yeah, that's right. That's the right way round. Right. Just about got enough water left. Okay, that's now connected to the power side into that battery. Is there a power switch on that battery? Yes, there is. Let's turn it on so it actually starts gathering some charge. Right, and the reason that I've done this is the peak charge off these turbines is 10,000 each. These cables can take 100,000. I think it's 100. It's either 100 or 50. See whether it actually tells me. I don't know if it does. It must be 100, otherwise there wouldn't be a 100 kilowatt fuse. Right, so that's the answer to that. Yeah, maximum 100 kilowatts. So longer term, if I set up more power generation, I've obviously got 2 windmills. I've actually got a third one over there, which I'll move and connect up to this in a bit. But once I do that, that's 30 on its own. So I'm going to have that all dump into this. That's fine. That's easily within this 100,000. I'm going to have it all dump in here. And then I'm going to have this set to transfer it down to the main batteries. But the reason I'm going to use this is if I dump it into a battery here and then connect this battery into the others which are also connected to everything else, it's going to 100% going to burn out the cables. Two reasons. One, battery to battery connections tend to dump all their energy in one hit. And number two, because with other things running, it will exceed. With the generator, the GFG's generating, say, 50 kilowatts, very quickly going to exceed it. We've got any coal come through? No, we haven't. That's annoying. They've been kind of useful right now. I know there's one in there. There we are. I'll take it. That's the last one. Get some power up. I think the sorter will start running again and we'll be back in business. I don't think it's running fast enough. Yeah, I know power's low. I know. Yeah, so that's already spiking at 77. So we don't want to transfer more than, say, 20 kilowatts. But because this is very lumpy generation, it's going to generate potentially with 3 of these 30 kilowatts during a storm, but then it's not going to generate anything outside of a storm. That's actually fine, because between storms this can, if it's generating a little bit, isn't it? I think it generates 500. But we can have this just feed down at, say, an extra 20 kilowatts constantly. And then longer term I want to put an adaptive controller on this to basically try and keep this battery charged to, say, I don't know, 40%. So if it's got excess power above that, it'll turn this up, and if it's below that, it'll turn it down, subject to not overloading the whole network. That's my longer term plan with it. Oops, I don't quite know what happened now. I just completely lost. Okay, I need to get the fuel. Yes, I know, system failure, I know.
System failure. System failure.
So there's a few things I want to do here. First of all,
Danger.
this
Danger. System failure. System failure.
May as well go for making it
Danger.
into decayed food.
Danger.
We can feed it into the
System failure.
biofuel.
System failure.
Same reason, I'm going to
Danger.
grab some of those.
Danger. System failure. System failure. Danger. Danger. System failure. System failure. Danger. Danger. System failure. System failure. Danger. Danger. System failure.
And
System failure.
Power low.
Danger. Danger. System failure. System failure. Danger.
there's a relief then here. It was actually quite useful.
Failure.
Chuck a couple of those in there,
System
get them out of the
failure.
way.
Danger. Danger. System failure.
Right. Now is probably the time to go out before that battery
Danger.
dies.
Power low. Danger. Danger. Power low. Low. Danger. Power low. Power low.
Right, that should force it to feed a bit in there early, which gives us a bit of extra power.
Power low. Danger. Danger. Power low. Power
Yeah.
low.
It's not great, is it? Basically out of power.
Danger. Power low.
Makes me... that's no good. I was going to say, makes me suspicious, however. Lost the cable there as well. So I think a lot of the power problems around the base are now down to the fact that a number of the generation systems are not actually remaining connected because of burnouts. So I'll patch that one. At least then I can get some off that. I may have to implement what I've just done over there in a whole bunch of different places, to be honest, but in the short term, let's... hopefully then get, oops, some power somewhere. It's better. I think when both the solid fuel generators and the gas fuel generator are running during day, it's exceeding 100. And I think that's the cause of some of these issues. Which means I need to start breaking this out. Charging sub-batteries, because they're all spiky generation sources. Charging a series of... In fact, I'm going to do the same with the gas fuel generator as what I've just started over there. It's perfectly suited to it. Except I haven't got enough power to do it. No more come through. No, it's too much to hope for really, but there we go. I'll tidy up a bit while I'm in here. Some of these out of the way, I can see what's going on when some does come through. I think those, oh no, not all. Right, that's getting there. Right, okay, it's still messy as hell in here, but at least when some coal comes through I'll be able to see it. Right, the sun's up, hopefully that will also help.
Danger. Danger.
Keep that charged. When we know we've got power problems, the last thing you want is to also run out of suit power. Okay, how's this looking? So the sun is up, that should be generating something.
Danger.
But it still isn't.
Power low.
Okay, the gas fuel generator's running out of fuel, I think. I'm wondering if there's a further burnout between here and there. Because they should be generating power at this point.
Danger. Power low. Power low. Danger. Danger.
And they're not.
Low.
Right.
Power low. Power. Power low.
It looks intact. It's possible there's an issue inside.
Power low. Power low. Power low. Danger.
Looks fine.
Power low.
Jetpack on.
Interestingly, they've still taken damage in that storm, even though they're enclosed. So I've either missed something, or maybe those need to be fully welded frames. That's probably what the problem is. However, with this number, I should be generating about 7 kilowatts. I'm not seeing that coming through over here, because there should be a baseline at about 7 just because it's daytime. Right, we know this does work. Well, that's generating 5.4, that's picking up on the supply.
Power low.
Okay, maybe that is from those. Okay, I'm not going to overthink it. I've got a whole load of power work to do anyway. How long is that going to take to decay? Too long.
Power low. Danger. Danger. Power
That should
low.
help.
Power low.
Right, let's just check that that is now fully connected all the way through. Unless it's burnt out underground, that's okay. Right, I'm going to set up a battery arrangement on the gas fuel generator.
Danger. Danger.
That's the biggest spike that we're getting, so it makes sense. I need gold and copper. I'm going to need both of those to do any of this anyway.
Power low. Danger. Danger. Power low.
Maybe have the copper as well, that would be really nice.
Danger.
Right. Battery large. Oops. Transformer large. Heavy cable. Basically just make as much heavy cable as I can.
Low. Danger. Danger.
I need to recode colours on some of these. Right, I do need green.
Danger. Danger.
Can have a different colour as well. Something that will stand out. Let's go purple.
Low.
Plus we've got various
Danger.
ends of cans of purple. Good. I also do need. So I can put those in there at least, which is a start, and one of those, and maybe even.
Danger. Danger. Power low.
There we go. Right.
Power low.
Okay, I'm going to get this rigged up on the GFG first. I don't know if there's space to do this internally. Let's have a look. Oh yeah. Kinda. I could probably put the battery in there. Actually, that's not the most smart plan, is it? Just realised, because that means if I want to add a second air conditioner, I've got a problem. And the jury's out on whether or not another air conditioner is useful. There's not a whole lot of space to put them anywhere though, is there? No, I'm going to do it in here. That is quite large. Right, if I cut that through there. Yeah, that's probably the best way to go. Can I even reach the switch? Ha! No. Okay. Ridiculous practical problem to have, but it is a practical problem all the same. Now, I need to do that, because otherwise it's going to just burn out straight away. At least that is all getting captured into that battery. It's just not making it through yet. If I connect battery to battery, it's going to dump all the energy in one hit. Which is not what we want. this is going to be a challenge to fit, isn't it? It's going to be a massive challenge to fit. Where am I going to put this? I'm going to have to put it in here, actually. Yeah, that's just about the only place that's going to fit. I can still hear those pipes groaning. It's not the water pipes, is it? No, oh well. Right, let me put that there. Just think about sorting this out later, it not being too much in the way. It's going to have to go there, it's about the only place I can connect it. Okay, so we're going to set that to say 20,000 as well. Right, and this then needs recolouring because this should not be green anymore, which I probably should have done before I laid it, but there we go. Don't want to accidentally connect this to the green.
Hydration critical.
Okay, so that should, once everything's running, smooth. I mean, we're out of power completely now, so I can't tell, but that should smooth the draining of the generator into the grid.
Power low.
Yeah.
Power low.
Don't quite know how those operate with no power, but there we go.
Danger. Power
Right.
low.
Okay, I'll carry on designing what needs to be done over here for a minute. Actually, before I do, I'll make sure that the rockets return when we do get power back. I don't want to lose another one, that would be very frustrating. Right, they're both on the pad. Where's the other gap? There it is. Couldn't see it. Right. So that's that bit. This is why I picked up multiple colours, because differentiate what's on the grid here from the green. Right. Now obviously what I can now do is trim this off here, because that is not going to connect in that way. That's only going to the data port. leave that alone for a minute. See if I can get that to connect at least. So at least we're capturing all of the energy, even if I'm not doing anything else with it. Right, and then this now becomes green at this point, because this will be regulated down to safe enough not to blow the grid up. At least that's the theory. Let's see if I can get it all the way down. I probably can't. I mean, I suppose actually I've only got to connect it into green anywhere else. Reluctant to connect it through the solar array because I think we're going to need to do something similar with that. Certainly I will if I expand it. It's a lot of wire to get it all the way down here though. 18, that's going to not go very far, is it? It's 4 per frame, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4.5 frames. We're going to get to about here. And we're going in the right direction. Got to get under those as well. Okay, perhaps as a quick initial setup, that's what I'll do, and then I'll fix it later. Not necessarily an issue at this point because it is only regulated to 20 kilowatts. Let's see with all these cables running so close to each other why it's important to colour code them. Oh, just fits, look at that. Okay. So the power from that has already drained in, but at least it's gone into the grid. This one needs to be configured in much the same way. Extend that way, and I'll move the other windmill up there. Certainly not great, but at least something should be flowing in. I'm still not seeing that charge though. I am suspicious that there is a problem somewhere that I haven't spotted on this cable. Obviously it's night time, so I'm not expecting anything to happen. Yeah, I need to close those in at the bottom. I'm not expecting anything to happen in terms of the solars, but these should still be generating 500 watts of power. I'd expect, even if the power's flickering on and off, I'd expect something to be running. But no power is getting into there at all. Or if it is, it's draining out as fast. I suppose that's maybe the other thing. It could be draining as fast as it's going in. Right. There are various batteries on the network, even if they're only small batteries, things like the one in this airlock. Talking of which, going inside and have no desire to get stuck. is, of course, there's no power to drive anything, including the power generation. Okay. Well, I guess it's wait for dawn, and between now and then I may as well go and mine something.
Jetpack on.
See if I can find some coal somewhere. Oh, excuse my voice. Hopefully there's some. Right, there we go. Going to end up with a bit of copper as well, but what the hell. Always useful. Especially when we're doing electrical works. So I think what I'm going to probably do is to design a completely new backbone for that energy circuit and lay that in. Separate the solars, because I'm not sure using them as a quick and dirty route to route the power in is fully effective. It might be, but I was just surprised that when that battery fully discharged, it's only generating 500 watts from the input, but it had been running for a little while, so I would have expected some charge in there. I would have thought it would have powered everything up, even just for a second, but it didn't appear to, so I'm suspicious that something's not connecting quite right. If I only had those goggles and they hadn't burnt off my face. Never mind, I'll make some more at some point. Right, how's that looking? That's not brilliant, I've got a bit. Yeah, I think the acid test will be when I get back, whether or not anything's powered up with the sun being up. If it has, then I was just using power too fast. If it hasn't, then I think the solars are not connected properly. Doesn't look hugely hopeful, does it? I feel that something should be happening.
Hunger caution.
We said that the solars are at the wrong angle because they've got no power. So maybe that's the issue as well. Right, okay, that's at least enough to get something started. Throw that in.
Power low. Danger. Danger. Power low. Power low. Danger. Danger. Power low.
Right.
Power low.
Okay, so we are generating some power.
Power low.
What I'm expecting to see is a much more stable power profile, because the gas fuel generator should be somewhat smoothed by going through that battery. It's not going to be perfect, but I'm expecting to see it charging 20 kilowatts into the grid a bit more permanently. Actually, I'm just thinking I'd probably notch it to 15. As long as it is still actually discharging the battery. Dropping it is helpful. I don't want to charge all the electricity from the generator to build up in here. But as long as it's actually making its way through, the smoother the better. Let's just turn it off for a minute and let it build a bit of charge. A bit of a buffer. So if I set that to 10, I don't really want it at 10, I do want it higher than that, but if I set it to 10 for now, for example, we should see a fairly constant drip feed in. Okay, this is not quite doing it, it's still definitely discharging faster than it's charging, but you can see it's much smoother. That's interesting though, because that suggests that if I were to have that turned off and this turned off, which I'll do for a minute, the actual background level at which this is charging is not very high. We're using 24 kilowatts. It's quite spiky. Okay. I guess we use quite a lot when the turbo pumps are running and also when the melt room is running. So at the moment we're charging up. This is generating 20, so that's 20 of that 25. So the other 5 should be the solars, which is not where I'd like it to be, but that's the reality. One of the reasons for that is, of course, they've taken damage, so let's get some of that fixed as well. Yeah, that's definitely not airtight, because if it was, I wouldn't be able to do this. I think I need to weld these frames up as solid frames. I think that's where the issue has come from. Well, there's no think about it, of course I do. They're not airtight, which means right. Good, but I just don't know whether it'll actually be able to reach in and get the angle right on the ones each side. Yes, we can.
Failure. System failure.
Jetpack on.
Right, get these done, it's going to help a bit at least. Okay, that's good, not damaged, we like not damaged. Not so sure about these though. Right.
Jetpack on.
Right, now I've got to try and figure out which of these I removed and whether or not I put it back. I think I did. Yeah, I think we're okay. Right. So I need to weld these frames up solid. Are they iron or are they steel? I bet they're a mix of the two. These will be iron because they were early ones. And those are steel, yeah. That might be the case.
Power low. Danger. Danger. Power low. 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 Power low.
Hunger critical.
Danger. Danger. Power low. Power low. Danger. Danger. Power low. Power low. Danger.
Don't know why I bothered getting that working
Power
again.
low.
It's- Power's gone out again already, so
Power low.
how
Danger.
are those going?
Danger.
Let's
Power
back to decay,
low.
that will be helpful.
Power low. Danger. Danger. Power low. Power low. Danger. Danger. Power low. Power low. Danger. Danger. Power
Oh, that
low.
was too slow.
Power low. Danger. Danger. Power low.
Right, so then the next question is, has the rocket managed to bring us any more coal?
Power low.
Not sure it has, because I'm not sure it's even flown since I was last down here. No. Right. I feel like if I can get on top of the power now, it will actually work, but getting on top of it is a different issue. Having said that, there's power in there now, so I could actually should power the whole grid. See how that stays. Hopefully that's enough. But the system, yeah, that's running in there.
Power low. Power low.
Okay.
Danger. Danger. Power low.
So clearly
Power low.
using more than I'm generating.
Danger. System failure. System failure. Danger. Danger. System failure.
That's quite helpful.
Danger. Danger. System failure. System failure.
Turn off anything I don't need. There's no point in wasting power, is there? Yeah, that's where the other heavy battery was. I'm not sure what's happened to this rover again. It seems to periodically drift. Oh well. Right. Wow, we've got a lot of silver now.
Jetpack on.
So it should still be unloading. These will be a reasonably substantial drain, I suspect, on the power supply, so I'll turn that down a bit. Not that there's anything for them to pump, but it's still turned on. That's because we've got no oxygen. Why have we got no oxygen? This should be doing something here. There's 1 MPa of pressure. That valve should be, that vent should be running. Right, at the risk of wasting some stuff, I'm going to just... Okay, that's actually getting colder, but at least it's doing something. Trouble is, if I toggle those, I'm just going to get blown halfway across the map. Oh, and there goes the power anyway. Probably best not to be mucking about toggling doors when the power's flickering on and off. Get them stuck open, won't I? Right, those solars are at least orientating themselves towards dawn, I hope. Probably light reasonably soon. Quite impressive to watch the base light up and shut down beneath me. Right. That's the remaining power out of the gas fuel generator. So that tells me that we can't run it. Let's turn that off. And then back on. Right, this is a little bit risky. Get trapped in there. Actually, let me see if... Let's see. No, I can't tell whether it's charged or whether it's... Oh, hello. That's what happened to the other cable coil. Oh well, at least I found it. No, that's gone out. I'm glad I didn't go in. Let's dump those two. To get to the right filter. Yes, probably can't make it as well. Ah, nearly. Done. Right, okay, at least I've got those two filters.
Power low.
There's no point in
Power low.
running things which are not even connected, but also what I want to do is to just dump any excess gas, because that will bring the pressure in this pipe down, which is quite high. It's mostly pollutant and nitrous oxide. And I think the oxygen one's also expired. It has, that's why I've got no oxygen, which is why I'm getting no fuel. That's a fairly significant issue.
Power low. Power low. Power low. Power low. Power low.
And the reason I'm doing just light filters rather than more advanced ones is I just don't think I can print a better one in the 2 ticks I think I'm getting between these. But this is important because if I don't fix this, it can't get the oxygen out of the pipe, which means we can't make fuel.
Danger. Danger. Power low. Power low.
But also once it gets this down, the whole atmospherics processing is going to use a lot less power because it will actually shut itself down once we've... That's better. Right, dumped some stuff. Okay, let's get a bit perilously low. That's why we have a buffer here so that we don't completely run out of gas for the generator. There we go. That'll keep it going for a bit. Right, okay, good.
Jetpack critical.
I suspect some of these other filters are probably on their last legs at least. Okay, they're alright. That one's toast. That's still okay. Right, and that's still okay. Alright, well at least I can shred these two. Now, what is going on down here? Okay, this side is broadly empty. Why is this not emptying? I have probably forgotten to connect something somewhere. Stand back and prepare to be blown. Whoa! Okay.
Jetpack on.
I thought that was going quite well for a minute. Okay. The vent's just not running. It can't be running because if it was running, that would be emptying. So I'm going to have to flush it like this. Oh, that's a massive waste of gas. I'll see whether I can actually use it to blast myself inwards this time. Okay, I think that's the problem.
Jetpack damage.
Damn it!
Jetpack on.
No, come on. Right, okay, at least I've found and fixed that. Bit of a waste of gas, although I saved about a quarter of it, so it could have been worse. Right, have I actually got... Yes, I have. That's good. That hopefully will do something. That's now emptying. Damn melt rooms. I don't know whether those turbines are doing anything valuable. I suspect that's what these bouncy bits of noise on here are.
Danger. Danger. Power
Oh no,
low.
it's not. It's the fact that we're just bouncing off the bottom now.
Power low. Danger. Danger. Power low.
Okay, so what's the state of the battery in there? That's... yeah, we're only really reliably adding a small amount to the grid. Okay, I need to see how this adaptive controller's looking.
Hydration
That's
critical.
interesting. It has adjusted the range. We've still got the same fundamental problem in here though. We're just not actually cooling it down very much. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, maybe try adding a bit more pressure to the waste system. Might not help, but it might do.
Power low. Power low. Danger. Danger. Power low. Power low. Danger. Danger. Power low. Power low.
Low now. At least if I can get one of these starting to smelt, that would be a good start. Right, so to do the next thing, I'm going to just try, if we can get this gas fuel generator working, that would be a solution to many problems. I need one of those.
Danger. Danger. Power low.
It's probably the minimal setup. I was thinking
Jetpack
about adding a
on.
pressure rig and actually trying to pump the system up, but it's probably enough. Actually, why not just fit it there? Doesn't make it any more complicated, is that?
Jetpack critical. Jetpack low. Jetpack critical. Jetpack on. Waste tank critical. Jetpack critical. Jetpack low.
Okay, how much more pressure has that put into these pipes? If I can find one that I can actually... There we go. So it's pressure, the temperature's really high still. This cooling really didn't work, did it? The principle was good.
Jetpack critical. Waste tank critical.
Yeah, it probably will be in a minute.
Waste tank caution. Jetpack on. Waste tank critical. Jetpack critical. Jetpack low.
Right, that's more than
Jetpack
doubled
critical.
it. Let's see whether that actually helps. It's quite difficult to know whether it's going to improve or worsen the situation.
Danger. Power low. Power low. Danger. 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 Danger. Power low.
Right.
Power low. Danger. Danger.
I don't even know whether the rocket's still unloading. I think it is. Yes, it must be because there's some coal. We can get the power on for a little while. We might be able to actually get a few things going now.
Power low. Danger. Danger. Power low. 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 Power low. Danger. Danger.
Right,
Power
let's start
low.
actually shutting a few of these things down.
Power low. Danger. Danger. Power low. Power low. Danger. Danger. Power low.
Right.
Power low.
Sadly, I'm going to have to repower that pink network quite soon because that's what's driving the cooling for the gas fuel generator. Although that's running, I can see the graph just about make it out. Binoculars would be amazing at this point. I could read it from here then. Perhaps I need to move a copy of that console in here. Not move, but create a second copy in here. That could be useful. Right, okay. So I think when the solid generator is not running, we're running at about 10 kilowatt deficit. Trying to figure out what systems we can most sensibly shut down. I mean, the biggest consumer is probably the, at this point, the arc furnaces. I need them to run in order to move all this stuff through. I could just smelt it in the main furnace, of course. There we are, there's some decayed food, that's good, we like that. That could go straight in there.
Danger. System
I don't think it helps that things got so bad with all those burnt cables.
Power low.
Danger. Danger. System failure.
Right, I've run out of coal again now.
Failure. Danger. Danger. System failure.
Right, I'm going to relay those gratings.
Danger. Danger. failure. Danger, danger. System failure. System failure. Danger, danger. System failure. System failure.
Of course, I've shut this whole section down, haven't I?
Danger, danger.
I'll just turn it back on.
System failure. System failure. Danger, danger. System failure. System failure. Danger, danger. System failure. System failure. System failure.
Right, at least get something useful done. Try and close in those frames. Then I think perhaps we'll call it a day. I think next episode may need some more work on power generation. I think that's highly likely. But for now, let's just get this at least closed up.
System failure.
It's probably the only episode so far where I've wished we'd have a storm.
Danger.
And of course we haven't had a storm. Right. What's going on here? Got things that are not tools. No, I've just got too many
System failure.
partial rolls, haven't I? Right, okay, let's do that, let's do that, let's do that. Do that.
System failure.
Oh. So I've got 2 iron frames there. 3 iron frames, okay. So more iron than I had expected actually.
Jetpack on. Jetpack on.
Right, iron sheets, 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Jetpack on. Hydration critical.
Okay, that's it, sorted, done. Those should now actually be sealed in. Could close that one, but I think I'll leave those to get through. They're quite useful access points. Right, let's hope I've actually sealed that properly this time.
Danger, danger. System failure. System failure. Danger, danger. System failure. System failure.
Ah, got stuck.
Danger.
Is that one of the loose? Yes. No.
System failure.
Get that out of there.
Danger.
Drop it in
Danger.
there. Okay.
System failure. System failure. Danger. Danger. System failure. System failure. Danger. Danger. System failure. System failure. Danger. Danger. System failure. System failure.
Right.
Danger. Danger. System
Suit
failure.
damage.
How have I managed that?
System
These
failure.
hard suits are not supposed to break that easily.
Danger.
I only
Danger.
tripped over some seeds.
System failure.
I mean, to be fair, there were ones I should have picked up.
Failure. Danger. Danger. System failure. System failure. Danger. Danger. System failure.
Actually,
System
I'll plant
failure.
the pumpkin and not the seeds, because the
Danger.
seeds I can
Danger.
immediately convert into fuel.
System failure.
Pumpkin, I cannot. It needs to
System
rot
failure.
first.
Danger. Danger. System failure.
Not sure quite what's going on with that plant.
System failure. Danger. Danger. System failure. System failure. Danger. Danger. System failure.
Yes, we'll get some of
System
these
failure.
done.
Danger. Danger. System failure. System failure. Danger. Danger. System failure. System failure. Danger. Danger. System failure.
Actually,
System failure.
let's just take those and
Danger. Danger. System failure.
okay, right. Feed the biofuel.
Failure.
Let that throw itself out before I put the next one in.
Danger. Danger. System failure.
Throw these in here.
System failure.
Seems to be a particularly good place to decay food. I guess it's kind of hot and
Failure.
low pressure and cold.
System failure.
Right, well,
System failure.
on that note, it seems like we have tuned that to about the rate at which it's, not quite, but close to the rate at which it's coming out. So what's that ended up at? 8. Maybe 7. It's disappointing if we're only getting a constant 7 kilowatts off that generator. It's really just on the fact that the cooling is not working as well as it needs to. Shut down the stuff we don't need for now.
System failure. System failure.
Of course the pink stuff's off, so that's why we're not getting any more. I'll need to turn that on briefly at least,
System
because that's what drives...
danger. Danger.
Is that what drives the sorters? No. I think they're probably on
Jetpack
the
on.
grey network then. Although it's still red over here, I think that's the grey network. So we
Failure.
do actually need to leave that on.
Failure. Danger. Danger.
Power everything up for a minute.
Failure.
It's a massive power deficit, but
Danger. Danger. System
hoping it will
failure.
sort fast enough to actually spit some coal out at the bottom.
Danger. Danger. System failure. System failure. Danger. Danger. System failure. System failure.
And we've got some cobalt, but no copper. I think that's the tomatoes. I'm not touching that anyway. Right.
Failure. danger, system failure, system failure, danger, system failure.
Oh, look at that. Minus 11.
Failure. Danger, system failure, system failure, danger, system failure.
Yeah, definitely need to do something about power generation.
Danger, system failure.
I'd kind of hoped once I had a steady supply of gas that we could manage to get the gas fuel generator working and it would all come together, but that's clearly not going to happen. So hopefully some coal will pop out the end of there. I believe that we're running a space station on coal, but there we go. That's where we are at this point in things. Let's just hope there's some inside this chute ready to come out in a minute.
Failure. System failure.
Right, that's all jammed up now.
Danger, system failure. System failure.
Hunger caution.
Danger, system failure. System failure. Danger, system failure.
Okay, that was a bit violent.
System failure. Danger.
Some of these has just gone round and round and round actually, but there we go.
Danger.
At least that'll be a quick one to smell when it turns up.
System failure. Danger. System failure. System.
See if I can find that other nickel. There it is. All the way over here. Oh look, there's some iron over here as well.
System failure. System failure. Danger. System failure. System failure. Danger. System
Okay,
failure.
that's actually a full stack.
System failure. Danger. System failure.
I might just throw these in through the recycler for now. A bit of it will get wasted, but I'd rather have that than have it blow away in the next storm.
System failure. Danger.
Okay, well, that didn't waste any of it. Thought it would. I thought it would only get half the yield. No, that works. Okay, that's a good alternative route then, isn't it?
Danger. System failure.
Every time one of those flicks, there's a chance it's going to deposit some coal out the pit, so, you know, it's all good. There we go, look. It's not much, but it's a start.
Danger. System
Try
failure.
and get enough power that the system can
System failure.
run long enough that I can do some more major works next episode. I don't want to start the next episode with such a big power deficit that there's kind of nothing to be done. However, I think that's quite enough now. So we're briefly in a state where it's daytime and all the generators, pretty much all the generators are running and the system's actually charging up, but I don't think that's going to last awfully long. Might be able to shut down the atmospherics. Does that control the cooling for the GFG? Is about the only thing that's critical.
Danger.
Could shut down the melt rooms.
System
Will save a
failure.
bit of power, won't it?
Danger. Danger. System failure. System failure.
Come
Danger.
on, that's ready for a
Danger.
decay.
System
If I
failure.
pick this up and split this stack, I wonder what
System
happens.
failure. Danger. Danger. System
Yeah,
failure.
that's still just about to go, so I think we can just do
System
that, yeah,
failure.
and decay the whole stack faster. That's
Danger.
worth knowing. Right, there we go.
System failure.
And then get in there. Hopefully, in a minute, that will kick in.
System failure.
Sun's gone down, so we're starting to lose power.
System failure. Danger. Danger.
It's still
System
baking.
failure. System failure.
Come on, bake faster.
Danger.
There it goes.
Danger. System failure.
Boom.
System failure.
Okay.
System failure. System.
Any more in here? Oh, a little bit. Run this at the same time as the other one. I might even get enough power to keep going through the night. Maybe. Probably not.
Danger. Danger. System failure. System failure.
Oh, look at that. That almost looks healthy for a second. It won't last. Okay, a little bit of power. Right, I'm going to end this episode here. I think we know what needs to happen next time, which is a big focus on power generation. I might think about a second solar array. Might be the best solution. We're clearly demanding a lot of power. We need to sort out generation, but at least with the breaking of these into separate subnets, that should avoid some of the overloads. I feel if we can get the power back up, I need to generate another 10 kilowatts, so practically that's 20 solars. If I could generate twice that, that would be ideal. So 40 solars feels doable with the resources we've got in stock now. So I think that's the plan. Rig up 2 new solar arrays and hook them up to the grid. So that will be next time. Anyway, for now, I hope you have enjoyed this episode. And if you are enjoying it, then please do subscribe to the channel. This is probably the longest episode ever, by the way. Sorry about that. Just realised quite how long it's been going. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, subscribe to the channel. Leave me some comments. I do try and read and respond. And I hope to see you on the next episode. I'll try and make it a bit shorter, but no promises.